A young couple is reliving their whirlwind first year of marriage through their new book as they found new purpose through a life and death crisis on Mount Everest. Wow, that's such a mouthful. Cannot wait to talk to this couple. Welcome to the show, Captain Harold Earls and his wife, Rachel Earls, now authors of A Higher Calling. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for your time this morning.
It is so good to be on.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
What a story. I don't even know where to begin. I had trouble writing and teasing this because it takes your breath away. The trailer for the book played like a movie, first off, left me on the edge of my seat. But we got to back up and talk about how we got here. Harold, you're an active duty Army officer. Why did you decide to climb Mount Everest in your first year of marriage? This was back in 2016, right?
That is a great question. That is true. So it was back in 2016. The idea actually happened when I was a cadet at West Point. And so I was sitting in my barracks room and I wrote down my bucket list of everything I wanted to do. And at the top of my list was climb Mount Everest. Now, all of this took place when I was marrying Rachel. So I immediately graduated from West Point, and then I got married, and then I set off to climb Everest. And that's where the book takes place.
Okay. So then next, Rachel, first off, I can only imagine the just different range of emotions you thought when you're going to say, okay, you're going to support your husband in this. Then what happened? A lot of unexpected struggles.
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of at this fork in the road where I could just be consumed by fear of the what if questions. What if my husband dies? I don't know what's next for me. Or I can decide to not let fear drive my story. So I set off on my own adventure, and I chose to live that time with life enriching things, which for me was traveling. So I went to Guatemala, I went to Ireland and Scotland, I went to see my friends in Nashville. And so that's definitely our hope for people, is that they can know during those trials that there is still so much good to be lived.
Captain Harold, what happened while you were trying to climb Mount Everest?
Well, a lot happened. So a few things. So one, it was obviously an incredibly difficult climb. Say again?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
you got, right?
Exactly. So a few things. So one, it was an incredibly difficult climb. And I think that I knew the physical challenges that would be. I don't think I fully realized until afterwards the social and just mental effect that that would have on our relationship as well, and kind of the struggles that we would go through. I remember there was one point we were about to make the final summit push. We were right near the top of the summit. And I ended up getting sick, and I called Rachel on the phone. And I'll never forget this phone call. I was calling her from the satellite phone. It was freezing cold outside. And I told her that I didn't think that I could go to the summit. And I literally was sitting there in tears. And Rachel, like the way that she wrapped her arms around me in that moment, is a moment that I'll never forget in our relationship. And it was one of those areas that I didn't expect or didn't see coming.
Whew, it's taking me back just from the videos that I saw recounting during that time, and I think that's what helped tell the story, is that you guys took a lot of video. I want to jump to some parallels that I think a lot of people maybe could get out of what you guys went through right now. You said there are a lot of comparisons between the struggles that you went through and what the whole world is facing right now with the COVID-19 crisis. Can you two elaborate on that? Either one of you jump in.
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of goes back to finding your hope in that situation. And actually, our trials can be the biggest part of our story. And so maybe even just lean into that, because there's so much growth to be learned. I mean, this is one of the hardest times of my life. But I mean, think of what has come out of it now. We wrote a book out of it, right? So this is a huge part of my story now. So just own it.
Yeah, I think too, no matter your story, how big or how small or how severe or insignificant it may seem, something that I learned honestly through failure on the mountain was that communication is key. We were at Camp 3 headed up towards the top, and we made a pretty big communication error in regards to the communication equipment we decided not to bring. And it was interesting when writing the book and being reflective throughout the whole process, it really dawned on me that although we can be right beside each other like we were on the mountain, it doesn't mean that communication is actually taking place. And I think the same is honestly true right now in the moment that we're in. that although I'm sitting right next to my wife or right next to my family and those that I love, doesn't mean that communication is actually taking place during this time.
That is so true. I wish we had all day to talk to you, but you can read your book, which I'm sure a lot of that wisdom is inside there too. I'm glad that you guys wrote it. You have a big following on YouTube and online, and I'm gonna follow you guys today. We appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your story. Take care.
Oh, you're so kind. We're super excited too. Our book actually just came out this week, which is awesome news.
Yes, everybody go read it, A Higher Calling. You can learn more about it and get your own copy by visiting earls.org.